Hello, everybody. This is Sam with Korean Association, and welcome to Canada's Corner 2026. We started last year, and we're the recipients of the King County Voter Education Fund grant, and so this is part of that. So it's not just about getting new voter registration forms, and that's part of it, but also like most of the people that vote, like they wish that they could know their candidates better, and it's like, who are these people really, other than their socials or their website? And so that's why we're doing this, and so we now have this new cool digital studio and green screen. But today we have Toshiko Grace Hasegawa with us today. Welcome,
Thank you
Toshiko.
so much, Sam. I'm so
Yeah.
glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just as a reminder again, we're doing this so that to inform the voter about our candidates so we can make more informed decisions, right, as voters, for whatever reason that may be. And also, just as a reminder, this is not an endorsement. It's nonpartisan. It's not an endorsement, but rather just more for informational purposes. So, okay, so why don't we get started? And so, Toshiko, you're currently Port of Seattle commissioner, and so tell us a little bit about your background and like maybe just some of your experience at Port of Seattle and how that's been for you so far.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me.
Hmm.
Hello, everybody. My name is Toshiko Hasegawa. I am a fourth generation Japanese American.
Mm.
I live in the Beacon Hill neighborhood in South Seattle, and I am proud to be a Port of Seattle commissioner. In fact, I'm the first woman of Asian ancestry elected to the Port of Seattle.
Let's go.
And I
Let's
have
go.
a very good time
Yeah.
serving there alongside my colleague, Commissioner Sam Cho,
Right.
who is also a dear friend. Prior to being elected to the port, I
Hmm.
served as executive director of the Washington State Commission on Asian Pacific American Affairs.
Right.
It's more commonly known as CAPA.
Kappa. Yeah.
And historically, we have had some really wonderful representatives from the Korean community,
Hmm.
Commissioner Lori Wada down in Pierce
Yeah, Lori.
County, and
Yeah.
also Commissioner Sam Cho, who
Okay.
represented King County.
Okay.
And, there I worked very closely as the head of a cabinet level state agency appointed by Governor Inslee to help navigate through the COVID-19 pandemic. And
Okay.
so it was in that capacity that I worked very closely with the Department of Commerce to stand up the Small Business Resiliency Network,
Yeah.
providing critical funds to small business
Which we're a
owners.
part of. Yeah. SBRN.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been a
Yeah.
transformative program for so many
Yeah.
communities, especially communities of color.
Yeah.
Immigrants, refugees, they come to America and they make their life by building businesses,
Hmm.
laundromats and restaurants and grocery stores. And they were hit earliest and hardest, especially because of the anti Asian racism that existed during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
So having that sort of coordinated response is something that has been transformative and very important. And it showed me the power that economic stability can have in the lives of everyday people, which is why I decided to run for the Port of Seattle. It's the economic heartbeat of our
Hmm.
entire region.
Right.
And the last 4.5 years, we have worked critically on other small business support networks, on strategies to be able to promote trade and commerce during, ongoing tariff wars. And being close to community is truly special. And so now I'm running for King County Council.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Toshiko. So now I got the pronunciation right. Sorry about that. It's Toshiko.
I
Okay.
didn't even notice.
All right, cool. So we appreciate everything you're doing at the port, and it means a lot for our community, for Seattle and commerce. That's really the key, and that's something that touches our community, communities of color, AA and HPI specifically too. And so
Mhm.
we're going to want to know and learn more about this and your initiative. So, as Port of Seattle Commissioner now, and so you're currently running for King County Council District 2,
Mhm.
which was previously occupied by Gurmai Zahalai, which is now
That's
our
right.
executive. But
Yeah.
um, other than that, what are the reasons why perhaps you're trying to maybe look to do a pivot to that? Yeah.
You know, Port of Seattle is a special purpose government. It's very narrow in its scope to do economic development in a environmentally sustainable and equitable way. And King County is a general purpose government. My background is in King County. I worked for years at the county council and then at the
Hmm.
Office of Law Enforcement Oversight to work on issues of police accountability, systemic reform. I think that public safety is a really big priority for a lot of people. I think about my conversations with Metro bus drivers who are still grieving the loss of Sean Yim.
Yeah.
I think about small business owners in South Seattle who are still grieving the loss of the owner of Rainier Teriyaki.
Hmm.
I think about myself when I was 8 months pregnant and how shocked and devastated I was when Ina was
Anna Kwan.
when,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
she was killed 8 months
Right.
pregnant
Hmm.
also.
Right.
And King County has every role to play in building a safe and prosperous society.
Mm.
And I think all of us can agree that issues of crime and issues of housing stability and issues of mental health can be related to each other. And King County is a government that spends nearly 70% of its budget on the criminal legal system.
Yeah.
And my background is in the criminal legal system, both with policing. I worked in the community court. I have my master's in criminal justice.
Mm.
I'm running for the county council because I'm ready to stretch and flex all of my muscles to give the best of myself to my community.
Hmm.
Not just a time of great need, it's tremendous opportunity. We have new leadership with Gurmai now as serving as our executive. We
Hmm.
have new leadership at the city level, and I've served on both of their transitions teams, and I know I could be the strongest implementation partner for what we're going to do
I
next.
see. Um, I wanted to touch upon the public safety aspect
Hmm.
a bit. Here in Seattle, as we know, there's something called World Cup coming up here pretty
Hmm.
soon, and so it's like all hands on deck.
Yeah.
There's people coming from all over the world, and we're super excited. We have our World Cup activations.
Hmm.
K-Fest, quick plug, June 18th at Seattle Center. That's our very first K-pop festival.
Ooh, awesome.
Yeah, so please come to
Did it,
that.
did it, did it.
Nice. So there's ongoing discussions about the polarity between, okay, protecting privacy of individuals, and
Hmm.
that's definitely important. But at the same time, we want to make sure that our crowds and streets are well patrolled by King County Sheriff, SPD, whoever may be there, especially during World Cup. So how do we find that right balance, and how do we ensure that people from visiting from all over the world are protected?
You know, from
Yeah.
from my
Okay.
perspective, we are hyper focused on making sure that operationally we are
Hmm.
going to promote the safety of everyone who's traveling through our gateway. And
Right.
so that has looked like an interjurisdictional collaboration to make sure that we are intercepting, any sort of trafficking or bad actors as it's coming through our gateway. Because listen, we're going to be processing 750,000 people through our gateway,
Mm.
and with that economic boom, it's also going to
Yeah.
come with people problems. And at the port, we have a role to make sure that things like guns and arms are not going to be proliferating through our society, and that's a
Sure.
preventative measure that's really important. And we're doing a lot of awareness campaigns that
Mhm.
people know how to be able to keep their eyes out and be able to keep each other safe, especially with an emboldened ICE presence that we anticipate is
Yeah.
going to be here. We have
Oh, really?
seen what the
Okay.
immigration enforcement is capable of,
Yeah.
and that they are indiscriminate in how they operate. And
Yeah.
so we really want to make sure that community members are holistically prepared to be able to protect themselves. I think that we're going to have a lot of beauty. I think that
Mm.
we're putting a lot of our best foot forward to make sure that folks have an introduction to the Pacific Northwest from the
Mhm.
second they set foot in the airport to anywhere that they go, and saying, this is the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
These are the businesses and the communities that make us vibrant.
Yeah.
And that really I think really this is an influx point where we're going to have an adrenaline shot of money coming into our region.
Yeah.
And really, I think what promoting long long prolonged benefits of that
Hmm.
looks like ensuring that we're getting people to come back again, and it
Sure.
looks like we're spreading that benefit out across time and across geography.
Mm.
So it's not just folks clustered around the Seattle center. It's going to be folks around traveling around our entire state. And so when we're talking about public safety measures, I think we're a little hyper fixated on what's going on
Yeah.
in Seattle, and we actually get to be thinking bigger about what our goals are,
Sure.
and how we're going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really important point, and as for Korean Association, we'd love to see how we feel like outreach is a key.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, from your perspective in building these relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and so we kind of feel like we kind of serve as that bridge,
Mm-hmm.
um, to local legislature, lawmakers, and also our not just Korean community now, but we
Yeah.
represent over 30 different ethnic minority groups,
Yeah.
partnerships that we have. And
Yeah.
so would love to see how we could collaborate with the port to see, what kind of partnerships or communication pieces we can put in place so that our communities can be well informed too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether that's translation services or, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So,
we've seen time and again how people have missed their bite at the apple because there
yeah.
wasn't a good enough outreach and engagement
Yeah.
strategy. We
Hmm.
saw that happen with the All-Star game where there were promises made about economic benefit that just didn't deliver. In fact, it had the adverse impact.
Mm.
And so I think there were lessons learned there. And I'm really hoping that our new administrations
Yeah.
are going to stick the landing on this. As for the port's role in all of this,
Hmm.
I know that we have the best and the brightest operating a world class operation, and we're
Hmm.
going to do everything that we can to prevent any sort of problems from happening and taking place.
Awesome. I want to go back to District 2. So,
Hmm.
King County Council is the race you're running for. So, can you talk a little bit about what the specific areas District 2 covers? And then perhaps like what are the kind of the main topics that are really top of mind that are sort of concerns for that area specifically? Yeah.
District 2 is a really special place
Okay.
that it goes all the way from Skyway in unincorporated King County, which is
Mhm.
above Rainier Beach, all the
Mm.
way through the valley, through Mount Baker, through the Central District, through Capitol Hill, all the way north, a little bit past UW.
It's our most diverse.
And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's east of I-5, so it is a long and skinny geographic area.
Okay.
It has the border of the redlining
Hmm.
jurisdiction, so it has the tale of two Seattles. It has tremendous ethnic and cultural diversity, idiomatic language diversity, and it also has tremendous economic diversity.
Yeah.
We have people who are ultra wealthy, from the folks in Laurelhurst who were preventing helicopters from landing at Children's Hospital because they didn't want to be bothered by noise,
Yeah.
to folks who are experiencing displacement due to generations of disinvestment,
Yeah.
and predatory practices. And
Right.
so what I think is most important to this district right now, bar none, is affordability.
Mm.
It is touching everybody. Inflation, we're all experiencing it.
Yeah.
We understand the environment within we're operating and why it's happening. We have a president who is causing havoc on purpose
Mm.
with an ongoing trade war with Asia, our greatest trade partner.
Yeah.
We have policies at the local level that cannot keep up. Local government doesn't have the tools that it needs to generate revenues in a really progressive way.
Hmm.
And the state of Washington, it did pass a millionaire's tax, but it also eliminated really critical progressive funding mechanisms that leave local government to do more with less tools. And so that is manifesting in a hyper personal way, and every single person feels it. And so I would say affordability of
Yeah.
housing, of your property tax, of rent. I would say affordability of childcare, because people have to make the decision as to whether or not they can even afford to go to work. Because right now, for two kids, I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Mm.
They both go to childcare at my friendly neighborhood childcare center, the
Mhm.
same place my dad once went to school as a little boy,
Oh, wow.
and he went for free.
Okay.
I pay $54,000 a
Oh
year
my
for my
gosh.
two
Oh my
kids.
gosh.
It is
It's crazy. Yeah.
Steep. It is very, very difficult, and that is par for the course for our area, but is some of the steepest fees for childcare in the entire nation.
Hmm.
And the price of groceries. I mean, just the everyday goods that people need. If you go down to PCC to buy healthy foods for groceries for a week, you're going to be dropping at least
Yeah.
$300. And that's the reality, and it's not sustainable.
Costco's not wholesale anymore.
Yeah,
It's
but
not-
but
you
I
end up
am
dropping
gonna
a.
go to Costco.
Yeah, yeah. You end up going
You know
anyways.
what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
don't need 3 things of
Right.
shampoo, but I'm gonna give one to my mom,
Right.
right?
That's
So
true.
like,
Yeah, you get more for the dollar, I guess. But yeah.
but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the affordability is the biggest thing that is impacting everybody.
Mm,
And I think that the county has a big role to play in advocating for better tools,
okay.
so that we're not doing things, addressing issues in a way that puts the biggest burden on the people with the least.
Yeah.
I think that the county has a role to play in better spend because it
Uh-huh.
spends 70% of its budget on a legal system that's largely reactive,
Hmm.
and it's just not getting the outcomes that we want.
Mm,
Not for our community members and not for our communities.
hmm.
And it has a role to play in connecting people to those vital services that are going to move them, not just to stabilize them, but
Right.
along a spectrum to where they can be independent,
Mm,
where they no longer depend on a system. They can actually have jobs,
mm.
and they can be tax paying, pro social, contributing members of society. So
Okay.
many people fall through those cracks. And this is where I think my background, not just in the criminal legal system, is
Okay.
helpful,
Okay.
but as a port commissioner in economic and workforce development.
Uh-huh.
Sam Cho does this, the Port of Seattle does this.
Yeah.
We know the power of access to a job in transforming the lives of people.
Mm,
And if the King County government steps into its power in connecting people to that economic stability,
mhm.
then I think that we're going to see a lot better outcomes for our communities.
It sounds like then what you're saying is are the levers to this is
Yes.
that when you peel back the onion, let's get to the source of what it is, and that is economic growth and stability. And
Yes.
that comes with giving opportunities, new jobs, creating new jobs,
Yes.
training, education, put
Yes.
them there, let's get more people working.
We could
And so it's kind of that top-down approach. And then, yeah,
it's I wouldn't say top down. I
okay,
would say it is a proactive
okay,
approach
okay,
that is going to not only address the needs of people, but
hmm,
it's actually going to help ultimately expand our tax base. And it's just a better use of the dollar. And it's because King County is slipping deeper into the red.
mm,
Right now, the Port of Seattle is the only government that is operating in the black. And King County can and should step into its power in economic development. I would like to see it. Support some of that new build for housing,
hmm.
and also connect people to workforce development. And I think that a lot of that's going to go a long way in addressing a lot of our issues.
Awesome. We just had, so being part of SBRN, so we just had a Zoom call last week at a regular meeting, and I thought 5 people were in the room. I saw 5 tiles on my Zoom room, and I said, hey, you know what? I have this idea, and we've been thinking about it for a while, but doing a K Expo, small business fair,
Yeah.
and let's go big. Let's go
Yeah.
big. We're looking for locations actually.
Yeah.
Um,
To the waterfront.
oh yeah, hook us up. Hook us up. District 5,
Yeah.
around South Center is a possibility.
Yeah.
Up north at Alderwood, Linwood area,
Yeah.
and Snohomish is a
Yeah.
possibility. But
Mhm.
and would you guys be willing to partner? And then I thought there was 5 hands, 30 hands go up in the room. So it's like a much bigger meeting than I thought. But I guess it's this just, I have an entrepreneurial background. I started 3 tech companies, but what would you say to that? Korean Association, along with our other communities and associations, doing these small business expos and empowering them. Would you support something like that?
I think that is
Yeah.
exactly up the Port of Seattle's alley, and I think that
Get us on the waterfront then too. Yeah. Let's have a conversation.
the
Yeah.
waterfront would be beautiful.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And Pier
Yeah.
62 has been a venue for
Okay.
good stuff like
Like
that.
Friends of Waterfront there.
Yeah,
Oh,
you want to
okay.
do somewhere with foot traffic. It's not
Yeah.
just for inside the community. You want to invite people in because it's a celebration of
Yeah.
culture and identity and goods, right?
Yeah.
Of imports and there's a lot. Listen, Korea is leading, I would say, on pop culture right now. It is like coming for the throne.
Yeah, I can't believe it myself.
And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that there would be a huge draw for that.
Hmm.
And small businesses are so key to the economic landscape because a diverse economy is a
Yeah,
resilient economy, and small businesses have it so hard. And at the federal level, a lot of that funding is shriveling up because of the trade wars. They're still struggling
yeah.
without that infrastructure of support.
Hmm.
And what the call to action is for community members to come and
And
patronize.
like permitting process too, right?
That
Yeah,
part
right, right.
also, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And so from the county perspective, if you want sponsorships and communications and marketing, I think that that there's room for that. But I also, to your point,
Yeah.
think that there's something to be said for how we are creating access to unrestricted funds that can
Mm,
continue to recognize the state of emergency facing small minority and women-owned businesses.
mm, mm. That's great. So going back to District 2, you talked about affordability and public safety, um, but if elected, okay, you're at your desk day one.
Hmm.
What's sort of on your plate in terms of okay, like we got to tackle these issues right away? Have you given that some thought?
I
Yeah.
I think about it every single day,
Okay.
and I think my 30, 60, 90 as a port commissioner,
Yeah.
as a King County council member, looks a lot like what it looked like as a port commissioner.
Hmm.
And as part of the reason why I'm running for the county is I know that affordable childcare is possible because we did it at the port. I
Hmm.
want to do a study of the childcare needs assessment for King County and then use it as a blueprint to be able to do siting for a new child brick and mortar childcare facilities
Okay.
to meet the demand. I want to do incentives for developers so that for any of those new housing structures that are going up, they can use that bottom floor not just
Mm,
for restaurants or stores, but for childcare centers
interesting.
also,
So
right?
mixed use. Yeah, going up residential
And
plus
that
retail.
that
Okay.
mixed use on that first floor.
Okay.
The other
Ugh.
thing is I would love to see what's called the workers wage boost pilot program made
Workers'
permanent.
wage boost. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
so that's where when there's a small business that is, struggling with keeping pace with inflation, we really don't want to see businesses, and I think business owners also
Hmm.
don't ever want to make savings off of the backs of their workers.
Mm,
Big, large corporations sure do, and they're unabashed about it. But that's
yeah.
not how mom and pops work. We care so deeply about who our staff are, and I say that as a small business owner myself.
Hmm.
And that's part of the vibrance of this economy and keeping people stable.
Mm,
And so that's why there's a worker wage boost pilot program, and that could also go for home childcare operators as well.
mhm.
So I want to
Is that
see.
like a training program?
No,
Okay.
it's a wage support program.
Okay. Okay.
And so you apply for it. But Sam, if you go online
Yeah.
and right now and you check it out, it's
Mm,
available in English.
okay.
So I'm talking language access. I want
Yeah.
to see a language access plan rolled out and implemented across critical services, just
Mm,
like we did at the state of Washington under Governor Inslee during COVID-19.
mhm.
People shouldn't miss out on opportunities because English isn't their first language.
Yeah.
And the other
Yeah.
thing is, I really want to put a 10% cap on childcare
Mm,
because that's how we keep families working.
okay.
And when folks are working, they're contributing to our economy.
Okay. Thank you so much, Toshiko. Some real practical solutions. So, lastly, finally, as formerly as executive director of CAPA for our A and HPI communities, and we're the recipient of the King County grant, and so we're doing what we can, our part for that access. And also, you talk about like being able to provide language that's native to them, and so hopefully we can kind of help in that, be part of that bridge as well. But really the educational piece and informing our
Yes.
potential current voters and future voters, this is why it's important.
Hmm.
So can we speak to, as a person of color and as a female and myself also, I just learned a pretty disturbing fact that from King County data that for our younger age groups, the least kind of engagement from an ethnic group our is actually my Korean American group, and so
Really.
yeah,
Mm.
that didn't sit too well with me, and so we're trying,
Mm-mm-mm.
right?
Okay.
And so I called Sam. We're gonna do about this, Sam.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
yeah, Toshiko, what are we gonna do about this, right? So it's like it's important, and I feel like we need to make this a priority, especially for our next generation and youth.
Hmm.
So executive director of Kappa, what is your encouragement to our next generation of youth and our Asian communities? Why do we have to get out there? Why do we have to get involved and get out the vote? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Right now,
okay, yeah,
this is an even year election, which means
yeah,
that there's a lot of really important races on the ballot. It is not just the presidential election that matters, that's going to inspire people to get out there. We have congressional races that are up, we have state legislative races that are up. These are going to determine how we're going to balance power at some of the highest levels in American government, in the state government, and also in local government. Local government is widely regarded as the as community's first line of defense, and where federal and state supports are shriveling away, we have the opportunity at the local level to make sure that there's access and opportunities for community members in a way that they feel every single day.
yeah.
Something like support for the Small Business Resiliency Network.
Hmm.
You know how transformational a program like that is in the lives of a business owner, but that's not going to happen if you don't have people who are going to fund that and support it. At the local level, this King County race is probably one of the most important ones. There are city races that's going on, but this is a very, very closely watched race. I want you to understand something about this year that's different, is that the Supreme Court may decide that ballots have to be received by election day, stamped by election day. This is really huge for a place like Seattle and King
As
County,
opposed to what is it now,
as
Toshiko?
opposed to
Okay.
places where, like in Seattle or
Uh-huh.
King County, where people largely vote by mail.
Oh, okay.
So
In person,
so
you're talking about.
so
Oh, yeah,
historically,
yeah.
people have sent their ballots in,
Right.
and then it's postmarked on that day, and
Hmm.
that's good enough. That's not good enough anymore. It will have to be received by elections
Okay.
by the close of business on election day, and that's important because who votes the latest? Young
Yeah,
people.
youth. Yeah,
Young people
yeah,
vote the latest. And I
yeah.
get it. You want all the information, you have other priorities, but this year in
Hmm.
particular, if you want to vote, you can't just get it in on election night. You have to get it in earlier so that it is counted by election night. And this is by design. It is designed to keep you out of the electoral process
Hmm.
because they know that you're going to trend a little bit more liberal than older voters.
Interesting.
And it is a more conservative Supreme Court
Hmm.
holding up a decision by a more conservative executive White House. So
Yeah.
vote early. You have to vote early.
And you also have to account for it could be rejected because of your signature, and
And then
you
we
need
got to
somebody.
do
Yeah,
ballot chasing. You
right,
have to
right,
be able to reconcile that.
right.
There are so many barriers, and you have to recognize if you don't act on it, then you're being complicit in your own oppression. So tap into your power and vote early.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Toshiko.
Thank you
So,
so much.
yeah, of course. Do you have like a website that you would like to share for our viewers? How can they find out more information about you? And yeah.
Yeah, you can go online to votetoshiko.com and you will see a list of endorsements, our policy platforms, and a little bit more about me. And you can also get in contact, and I'd love to talk directly.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks a
so
lot,
much.
Toshiko. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Bye.